Naval Attack Force transports, protects, and lands the infantryman and his equipment. On the way to the new front line, the foot soldier and all his fighting strength are bottled up in ships, helpless against enemy attack. Destroyers of the attack force protect him from submarines. Planes from escort carriers patrol the surrounding seas and shield him from enemy bombers. Later on D-Day and afterward, planes operating from these floating airfields will give him close air support, staying until airfields have been built and shore-based planes brought in. Battleships and cruisers will serve as heavy artillery for the troops, clearing the beach and smashing fortified shore positions. Days before the infantryman hits the beach, the spearhead of this overwater expedition goes into action, hundreds of miles ahead of the objective. This is the Naval Covering Force, vast carriers, vast battleships, cruisers, and destroyers. Carrier planes and battleship guns furnish the striking power to take and maintain command of the sea and air. Carrier planes beat down enemy air strength on distant fields, sink supply and troop ships, spiking possible reinforcement attempts. Before the landing, the covering force thrusts deep into enemy waters to smash any attempted interference by the enemy's fleet. This force is G.I. Joe's insurance that the enemy he meets on the beach will get no help from home. The function of sea power in the overseas advance becomes clear on the day of attack. Battleship, cruiser, and destroyer guns pound the enemy's defenses. Planes from the floating airfields bomb and strafe defensive positions. Rocket ships plaster the beach. Minesweepers clear the way. Underwater demolition teams blow up beach obstacles. Attack transports also are fighting ships. Their projectiles, boatloads of troops. G.I. Joe has gone to work, and the fleet that brought him here will stay and support him until he wins the final decision. This is the pattern of amphibious assault. To put one foot soldier and his weapons ashore has required the fighting power of 3 men of the Navy. By the overwater advance into the Gilberts and Marshalls, we had extended our sea control by 1,200 miles. 1,200 miles closer to Japan. And the Japanese, failing to contest our advance with their fleet, had conceded command of the mid-Pacific. They had forgotten that the static defenses of island bases, no matter how strong, must be protected by the mobile striking power of a fleet. Without sea power, The unsinkable carrier alone could not command the sea. The Jap realized that a fleet requires bases, but he forgot that bases require a fleet. Meanwhile, we had cleaned up the Central Solomons and were slowly advancing along the coast of New Guinea. Now, with adequate carrier forces available for support, we could make a long amphibious jump from Leh to Hollandia, bypassing 50,000 Jap troops. Without naval air power, this long advance could not have been made. The fast carrier task force provided the sea and air striking power to command the sea approaches to the objective. The jeep carriers of the attack force, functioning as floating airfields, provided the close air support that up until now had been limited by the short range of our island-based planes. Again, the pattern of amphibious advance, of sea power enabling the overwater advance of troops, determining the point of attack. The Jap wondered where we would strike next. The Marianas, Tinian, Saipan, Guam were one bet. Truk was another. For years, the Jap had been fortifying Truk. Guns, troops, airfields, planes, defenses of all kinds. A chain of airfields linked Truk with the homeland. But most important, Truk was a primary naval operating and repair base. With the main strength of the Japanese fleet protecting it, Truk was the key bastion of the empire, commanding the approaches to the homeland. With land-based airstrikes from Eniwetok and the Admiralties, and with naval guns and planes, we harassed the Jap. Too precious to risk in combat, his fleet withdrew, leaving Truk with static defenses alone. No longer a base, Truk was now only an island, only a rock in the middle of the ocean highway. Unless we tried to assault it directly, Truk could not even hurt us. Now, there was no need to invade. As a base for future operations, the Marianas would be just as useful. Our weight of sea power gave us the choice. We chose the Marianas. On June 11th, 1944, the attack forces appeared off Saipan and went to work. The Jap was ready for us. It was tough going. The gunfire support ships had their hands full, supplying cold fire for the assault troops. Then, when the going was hottest, came the report that the Japanese fleet was coming out and in heavy strength. For the first time, it appeared that the Jap would employ the only effective means of halting our advance, to defeat our fleet and smash the amphibious forces engaged in the landing assault. But the Jap was still unwilling to risk his ships in a showdown fight. Instead, he launched an airstrike from extreme range, intending to bomb our fleet and land on the airfields of the beleaguered Marianas. Here, he would refuel, rearm, and complete the round trip, bombing our fleet again on the return run. They expected to find us entangled in shore operations, with our fighters still on the carrier decks. They got an unpleasant surprise. Our fighters met them far out at sea. Only 18 Japs broke through our fighters, and 12 of those were shot down by our ships. But not all the Japs tried to come through. Some of the group sheared around the fleet and headed directly for the Marianas airfields. But only one field remained in Jap hands, Oroti. Our bombers and torpedo squadrons paved the way for them.